Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Purposely podcast. I am very excited to introduce you to Anthony Ponte. He works for a family business called Melba Fresh, and we're going to hear all about his story today. So thank you, Anthony, for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be on the show.
Amazing. So the first question I like to ask all of my guests is, if you were at a Barbie or a dinner party and someone said, "Hey, Anthony, what do you do?" What would you say?
I wake up in the middle of the night and suffer in bed. everyone dies. They fucking die, literally.
Yeah. So you wake up in the middle of the night and you sell fruit and veg.
Yeah. So our business is based in the fruit and veg markets in Melbourne. So we're traditionally wholesalers, but then we've got a third arm to our business where we supply the food service industry. So restaurants, cafes. We're the main supplier of Crown Casino. We supply grilled all around Melbourne, and Victoria. So it's when people ask me what they do, they don't expect they're all going to bed, and I'm sort of just waking up sometimes. It's challenging when you're growing up and all your mates are doing different things, but happy where it's got me today, which is good.
Amazing. So are you a night owl, or you've just had to learn to become a night owl?
Oh, it's sort of like meant to be. Throughout school, I was always the one sort of staying. I was always the one up late. Whenever I knew I had school early the next day, I was always the one up late. So it's like I thought I had insomnia. So this probably worked out well for me.
There we go. So Melba Fresh is pretty amazing. You're the fourth generation of Pontes to be working in this business. So it's a family business. So how does that feel for you?
Sometimes I get asked that a fair bit. Sometimes you feel a bit speechless because you're carrying a lot of weight on your shoulders. You don't want to stuff it up, and you want to do better than I want to do better than what my dad did, and how my dad tried to do better than what his father did, and my grandfather tried to do better than his father. So it's about evolving and about how you can change the business to move with the times, and how you can differ yourself from your competition, because there's always going to be someone new in the industry, and there's always going to be someone who wants to do better than you, and there's always going to be someone who works harder. So you've just got to be the best person in your industry, and you've got to do business respectfully and with integrity. Otherwise, I think you won't really get far.
That's good advice. Sound advice there. I would 100% agree with that doing business respectfully and with integrity is paramount. And I feel like it's sometimes forgotten in this day and age, where it's all about doing the deal and about money, and profits. But I think good old-fashioned values go a long way. And I imagine that you've got some really good family values that are embedded in your business. So what are the values of Melba Fresh?
Well, we are a family business, so we treat all our workers as family. We aren't some big corporation or big company where the people or the Pontes in the business are at the top and the workers just do their job. We're in the trenches with them. When it's busy, we're there doing the work with them, because from a young age, I was pretty much taught that you can't expect anyone to do the work you want them to do unless you can do it yourself.
Yeah.
With respect to the industry. So I think that the family values is really important to us. And from the last 3 years of working there, I've started to see that you grow with your workers and they grow with you, and you build a good common respect between each other. And rather than them coming in for a paycheck, which of course we're all there for, but it's not just for that. They come in because they come into work every day. They do the job. They do it for you, not because you've told them to. They actually want to do it for you. And I believe that's one of the most important things, because if your workers aren't happy, they won't do a good job, and you can lose customers like that because they might be careless, they might be reckless. And I think those things all are really important. If you have a happy workforce and a good morale and a good team, it generally does show in the workflow, and it shows with the customers too. So I think that's one of our biggest values, the family trait. And it's good. We've been really blessed with the team that we have. They've sort of gelled with us. You do get here and there the workers that don't want to be there, but then you get the ones that have similar values to us and they stick around. We've got workers that we've had for over 30 years, and they just love being with us, and it's good to see. And like, I've known them since I was little, and now I'm growing up, they're still there, and we work well together. So it's a really good feeling being a part of a family business where you're involved in it with everyone. So it's a really good feeling.
Amazing. I would 100% agree with that. That if you work with people who share your values, it makes it so much easier. And you touched on something. If someone doesn't align with those values, it's pretty obvious. So how do you ensure that the people that you work with or people that you hire have those values?
You can't ever ensure something 100% of someone's face value, because there can be like a haze in front of you. They can make you see one thing and be another. But time tells everything, and over time you start to see true colours.
Yeah.
But I think that the people that are attracted to us generally want to work for us not because of our reputation, because we're Melba Fresh. It's because they know that we are a family-run business, and how we treat our workers, and how we treat each other, and how the work is done. So I think that we get a certain type of people coming to work for us. It's not just, and like I said before, when we were talking, that there are hard hours, they're night hours, but so it's hard to get a lot of people that want to do them. So it's great to see when you get good people that want to come in at early hours in the morning and work for you. But judging them on face value can sometimes be hard, and ensuring that they are who they say they are. But like I said, time does tell everything, and I think that after a few weeks you start to see whether they want to do the job, or whether they're just there to get their pay on a Monday or whatever it is. And that's not the sort of people that you want to have when you're trying to build a business and when you're trying to grow. So if you have short-term, long-term goals, whatever they are, you might hit the short-term goals with them, but you won't hit the long-term goals. And it's not about me hitting those goals, it's about the team.
Love it. You're talking my language. So how has the business changed? Like if it's fourth generation, like when was the business started? Like how old is the business?
The business started in the late 20s. You're really testing my memory here. Started in the late 20s. And then it was passed on to my grandfather, who took it on. So he was predominantly in potatoes and all the hard lines, so watermelon and onions and all that. So then when my dad took over in the very early 80s, he took it to another level where you can start to supply more of the restaurant trades. So went to the leafier greens, went to the lettuces, the herbs, the Asian vegetables, which did diversify us. You get a different market. It's starting to cater for a lot more fruit shops now. And then as time grew on, we branched out and created a second business, which was Melba Fresh Organics. So we're a certified organic business, and we supply retailers all around Melbourne and all around Australia. So we do a lot of interstate orders, and we deal with a lot of customers overseas. We do export too, because the organic industry, I don't know if you know, it's a rapidly growing industry. So if you looked at it 10 years ago and looked at it now, it's just exploded. It's just linear, the way it's going up and up, which is great for us. And you meet a lot more new people, and you start to see how much people really care about what they're putting into their body, which is another good thing to see. And you've noticed that over the last 10 years, how people are very health conscious. So it's worked in our favor. And then in the early 90s, we started Melba Fresh Providore, which is solely for the food service industry. So that's where we supply Crown Casino, we supply grilled, we supply cafes and restaurants and catering companies. So from there, we've just sort of been ticking along from there. But then when COVID hit early this year in March, the business pretty much went down to zero overnight. It was early March. It was essentially overnight, which was pretty devastating for Melba Fresh corridor. Even though our wholesale arms were still holding up, to see a warehouse full of stock and orders one day, and the next day you've got 50 cancelled orders, 120 amended. You know, you've got all this stock in there. You don't know what to do because you've got staff that you need to pay, and they all have families, and it's not a good thing to see when they rock up to work and you have to send them home because they can only clean for so long, and then what do you do?
Yeah.
So our back was sort of against the wall in a way, and I was sitting down with my dad, and we were discussing, well, what do we do? Do we wait? Do we wait 3 months for lockdown to finish? What do we do? Wait this out and close up shop, or do we tackle this? And do we diversify? We go to an industry or an area that we've never touched base before, which was a business to consumer business, which was the e-commerce side of things. So we created a business. So it was the Friday we had that conversation, and on Monday we launched a website. So we worked crazy hours that weekend just to get it done. We reached out to all these people to sort of throw something together, and we created Melba and Me. So we created, at the start, it was just fruit boxes, set fruit boxes, to try and get our produce out to consumers. We got a really, really big uptake at the beginning. One of my best friends is a football player manager, and he saw the impact that it did to my business, and he said, well, why don't I get some of my players involved and we can sort of help get your name out there. And it was great. It was actually really good exposure for us. From there, we got into the paper, into the Age, to the Herald Sun, and then it sort of went from there. And since that day, we've just sort of kept evolving and changing the way we do things. So now we're not just fruit and veg. We do bread and pastry, pasta, pizza, milk and eggs, pasta sauce, Nunda's chili oil. We do all different. We do flowers now too. So we've really changed the way we do things. And as bad as this COVID situation has been for us, for the restaurant side of things, it's been a really big learning curve for me to go into the field. So that's pretty much how Melba and Me started from that.
Amazing. I think that this whole COVID situation has really provided a lot of opportunities for businesses that they would never have even thought of before. So there's definitely been some positives from it. But your job or your role within Melba Fresh is sales and procurement. So what's it like on the streets in regards to the hospitality industry and restaurant industry? How are business owners feeling? Are you still in contact with them? Like, what's going on out there?
It's really shit for them.
Yeah.
It's really bad for us because they don't know what's happening tomorrow. We don't even know what's happening tomorrow. So they're trying to forecast the little takeaway that they're going to have in the next day or so, but they don't even know because their doors could be shut tomorrow. So but we're in contact with them all the time, but they're scared. And to be honest, so are we for that side of things, because we don't know what's going to happen to the economy. They open their doors, they have staff, they have bills to pay. They don't even know if they're going to get a sale because they can't open their doors and people are scared to leave the house. So, and even the things, I know that you obviously abide by the social distancing. All our drivers wear masks, they wear gloves, and it's a weird feeling when we do deliveries and the driver tells me that the people from the restaurant didn't even want to. I was scared to grab the box from them. It's just very hostile, and it's not the way we normally do things. So everything that we were brought up knowing to do, like shake hands, we kiss someone on the cheek to say hello. All these little things that you show gestures of appreciation or generosity or whatever it may be in certain circumstances are just gone, because you've got to do the opposite to sort of show your respect to someone now. To show respect, you don't take their hand.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It's kind of like the feeling I get when I'm walking around is that people are scared of people. Like we're actually scared of each other,
I know.
and it's a pretty sad world. And like when I see old people in the supermarkets and they're wearing masks and they've just got this look of fear in their eyes, and it's a horrible situation to be in. And I wonder about what impact it's having on our kids. I've got a son who's 7.
Yeah.
Like growing up in an environment like this. And then also it feels like it's all anyone talks about is COVID.
Oh,
And I'm so fucking over talking about it.
I literally cannot. Oh, I'm so over talking about it.
Yeah.
It's the first thing that people bring up, and everything news. It's the first thing that you see. It's just, I'm over it. I'm sorry. I'm dying for this to be over. I'm hoping that everything go back to some form of normality. But every day is getting worse at the moment. I know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but it's just hard to see at the moment because
it is. Well, in Victoria, or Melbourne, they're calling us Sicktoria, which I think is pretty funny. But so what's going on with Crown Casino, just out of interest? Because like they would just be like seriously impacted by this. Like obviously they've got their hotels and that side of their business, but the casino still closed?
Yeah, it's all still closed. So we were supplying them briefly while they had the quarantine people coming through, but I think that's coming to an end very soon. We're just helping them out, getting some basic fruit and veg to the people in quarantine. But it's not a good feeling going there. I went there to help out with a delivery a few weeks ago, and it's a very you know how big Crown Casino is. To see it empty is a very, very weird feeling. It's just very grim, and it's everyone knows Crown Casino. When you go there to now see it the way it is, it's like a bomb hit. If you know what I mean, it's just there's no one there, and it's not a good feeling to see that because how many people work there? You have hundreds and hundreds of people that had jobs there and now don't have jobs, and there's hundreds and hundreds of people that have families, and that family no longer have an income.
Yeah,
so I always think, you look at one thing and you got to think, what are the consequences for that one person losing their job? It's not, oh, you've lost your job, that's whatever. That person has a family. They have people, they have mouths to feed. So it's a ripple effect, and that's why I don't like seeing these. Yeah, it's not a really good thing to see.
No, it's kind of apocalyptic. I mean, just driving around in Melbourne, like there's just no traffic. There's literally no traffic on the roads, which is great, but it's just bizarre. But anyway, let's stop talking about that depressing topic. So what's the future of Melba Fresh? Like, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? I know COVID's thrown you a curveball, but it sounds like you're pivoting really, really quickly, and you've got a clear idea of where you want to be. Because I mean, this is going to end. It has to end. So what's the plan for the future?
The plan for the future for Melba Fresh, I think, is I want us to expand interstate, where we are based in Melbourne, and we do a great job. But I'd like to be an Australia-wide company. That's a very, very long-term goal. Short-term goal is to grow the business and to improve the logistics side of things, the supply chain side of things. Those things are really important to me. I started them at uni, and from working in the business every year, I've started to see more and more highlights of things I learned, even though I didn't think I'd ever use it. You might not specifically use it, but you do realize that these things are real that you study. So I want to grow the business as much as I can. I do believe in the e-commerce side of things, and I think that we're on a really good wicket with it. And we've got so much good feedback from customers and from consumers that they love our product. So Melba Fresh itself is a wholesale side of things. I wanted to go with the state long term, and Melba and me e-commerce side. We've already had a lot of inquiries from interstate, which is we've only been open for 3 months, so it's been
Yeah.
Our brand awareness is gotten really high, really quickly, which I'm so grateful for. And it wouldn't be without our team that we would get to where we are today. But I'd like to take them both interstate. I want it to be an Australia-wide company, and I want us to be a household name. I don't want. I'm like, yeah, we're a local business, and we'll never move away from that. We'll always be a local family business. But I want everyone to know us as the local family business. That we're not expensive. We pride ourselves on our service and our quality. So to me, if you can nail those three things,
Yeah.
you're on the right track to being successful.
Amazing. So I want to ask you a question about the generational friction that must sometimes occur in your business. Having, well, first of all, you got family, which creates a certain dynamic, but then you've got a number of different generations working in the business together. So how many of you are family members, just out of interest?
So it's my dad and my uncle, and then you have my brother and myself, and then recently my sister. My sister's the marketing manager for Melba and me, so she came on board when we started because she was living in London previously, and then she moved back this year. And then we've got my brother-in-law also working. So Ponte himself is 4, and then there's 2 other family members. So all different age groups. So the dynamics is it can be interesting at times.
Yeah. And so what have been some of the friction or some of the tension that you've seen? I imagine that the younger generations have got some different ideas around marketing and where to take the business than perhaps some of the older generations like your dad. How do you manage that?
It can be hard because not that they don't understand, but they weren't exposed to it at the age that we were. I feel like I'm really happy that I was born in the era that I was being a millennial, because we grew with technology. As technology hit that sort of boom and it went to that next level, we grew up with it. Yeah. So we weren't born and it was already here, and that's all we knew. We knew the core values and the old school way of doing things, but then we also brought up with this technology, and we learnt throughout school and throughout university on how to use it to your advantage, rather than this is the only way to use it. This is how you can use it, and it gives you two ways of looking at things. You've got the old school way of doing things, which there's nothing wrong with. It's still, I'm sure it's still valid in their own way. But then you've got the more advanced way where you can involve technology and the improvements that brings to business and the efficiencies that they bring.
Yeah.
So sometimes it would be as simple as that they want to use pen and paper, or that we want to use the technology to get things across, emails through across. So I think I always face that challenge because of the age gap. That I might be in the same position in 20, 30 years with my kids, and we're facing the same sort of thing. But I think that we see things, we don't see things clearer, but we've got a lot more vision with how to use the technology to our advantage.
Yeah.
Communication levels, I think, are a little bit higher. That we wouldn't be here we are. I wouldn't be the person I am without my father. So I've learned a lot from him. But the advantage of technology, you can bring all those things to the next level. So it's the dynamics is very, very, very interesting.
And it would be, I've worked with a lot of family businesses before, and it's always interesting navigating the family dynamic. But I want to ask you a couple of questions about being a millennial. So I'm fascinated by what I call the millennial mindset, because I think that you guys think completely different to any other generation. Just the way that you approach life is very different, and that's where some of this generational conflict comes from. But what do you see as the millennial mindset?
I think that consistency is one of the main things. I can't speak on behalf of everyone, but I speak on behalf of the people I surround myself with, because they're the only people, obviously, that I would know. And I think that as good as motivation is to get yourself being successful, if you don't have a passion for what you do, no matter how motivated you are, there's going to be that one day a month or one day a week that you woke up and you say, I can't be fucked. And that's when your passion comes in, because then why am I doing this? Not I'm doing this because I need, like I said before, because I need to get paid. If you're working for, as much as we all want to be successful and be wealthy, if you're working solely for that, you won't be successful. And I'm not speaking off experience. I'm just from everything that I've learned and from what I've seen. Of course, that's my opinion, but I think that's a pretty solid opinion. That if you're working purely just to make money, the chances are you will not be as successful as someone who's passionate about what they do, who's consistent day in, day out. They may not have X factor, they may not be able to do as much as an individual, but if you're consistent and do the same thing every day and always try to make yourself better, and you have short-term and long-term goals, I think you'll be successful. I think you'll be able to get where you need to be, whatever your version is of successful, and wherever you put yourself on a graph of where you want to be. If you have that clear path and milestones, I think that you'll get there.
Yeah, great advice there. I think that making sure that you're connected to your purpose or your passion is really important, because when shit gets tough, if you're not really invested, then you're not going to do the do's. But I'd like to ask you, working night shift, how do you maintain that discipline and that commitment to I just cannot imagine working night shift. I'm such a morning person and I love sleep. So how do you create focus and make sure that you're disciplined and do exercise and all of the things that you need to do when you're working at night? Like I'm fascinated.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's like I said, back to the passion thing, I became really, really passionate about the work I do. Growing up, I'd always hear it, that you would never work a day in your life and if you love what you do, but you don't believe that until you actually do it and it's true. And you have your shit days, everyone does, but if you actually love what you do, the hours don't matter because you find ways around it. I exercise every day.
Yep.
I exercise every day. I actually do exercise every day. And I think it's really important for the brain. I make sure that I'm always eating well, because when you work in night shift, you can fall into the habit of getting a quick meal, and really, really bad for you. It can actually you can spiral out because the hours can be hard on the body. Very easy to eat bad food, go straight to bed, and then you become unhealthy. So it's hard to manage, but I think that because I've grown up with it, I've seen the way my dad did and everything. I've found ways around it. So I have normally 2 naps a day. I've split my sleep up. Or sometimes I have one big sleep. I'll go to bed at about 9 o'clock. And I'll wake up at about 2, 3 in the morning, and then my day starts. And then I stay up from there. So it's really hard at times, but I think that, like I said, if you really like what you do, the hours shouldn't really matter too much.
Yep.
But yeah, that's why I don't really know what else to say to that. You can't hide from the fact that night hours suck. So we can't talk.
Yeah. I actually interviewed another guy on this podcast. His name was G Tagger, and he gets up at 3 a.m. every day. And that's because he loves doing most of his work in that early hours of the morning. He just feels really, really alive at that point in time, and he does a lot of meditation. And I feel like you've got to work out what works for you, and as long as you're disciplined about it and you create a routine, your body likes routine. So the brain science behind that is we are a animal that likes certainty. It makes us feel safe, and so if you create a routine and stick to it, then your body likes it. Like, that's why little babies like going to bed at the same time, having in their nap at the same time. Like, it doesn't matter how old you are, your body still likes that. So yeah, I think that, and I actually interviewed somebody else recently, Fred Shabesta, who's the founder of Finder.com. I don't know if you've heard of Finder. Yeah. And he does this thing called, I can't remember what it's called, but it's essentially segment sleeping, I think it's called. So, and the research goes back to us being like cavemen, and the fact that you couldn't sleep in big blocks at night because you would be waking up to check that everyone's safe because it wasn't safe. You know, you're going to be eaten by a saber-toothed tiger or whatever. So you actually, humans are designed to do this thing called segment sleeping. So you have a number of sleeps a day and do this napping thing. So, yeah, it's crazy what our body are capable of. So it sounds like what you're doing at the moment is segment sleeping, and it's working for you.
Yeah, it's working well, but of course I feel like what you just said then was spot on. The routine is everything. Obviously you have days where things don't go to plan, you break your routine, but if you're generally in a routine and your life is structured, everything will work out okay in terms of, you know, you won't be late to work, you won't sleep in because you've got your body's in that motion. So I think you're right. Routine, very, very important.
Yeah, and especially in the lockdown situation that we're in at the moment, I think that maintaining that routine, because it's so easy to just go, oh, we're in lockdown, I'm gonna have the shits on, and I'm going to go back to doing these bad habits. So I think that at the moment it's so important to stick to your routine. I've just got another question for you. So what would be the best piece of advice that someone's given you around business?
On the spot here. There's actually a few things that come to my head. Can I say more than one?
Yeah, of course.
So probably about a year ago, my dad and I were having breakfast, and he said to me, in business, you don't wait to see what happens. You've got to be the one to make it happen. And other people will say what happened. And at the time I was just sort of sitting there and I was just like, okay, like, when am I going to, okay, cool. And then when COVID hit, that just sort of became a reality that I'd taken his advice, and we had worked together and made this business in a few days. And no one had done it yet. Well, there were people out there doing it, but no one had really done it in our industry yet. So we sort of jumped the gun, and maybe they were the ones saying what happened, and we were the ones that made it happen, which was, it was weird. It's like I always hear it in my head. It's just a big piece of advice. I know it's only a few words, but it's a lot of meaning to me because it fitted into my life perfectly. The situation I was faced with and the adversity that our business faced and how we overcame it. So it was really important. And I think that another thing that he said to me earlier this year, which was that it's not about how many challenges your businesses will face or how many challenges you face, because everyone will face challenges. It's about how you tackle them. So you could have 100 challenges or 100 issues, and you bang your head against the wall, you get nowhere. You need to work out ways around them. You go under, over, whatever it may be. You've got to work out a way around it. If you don't, someone else will. So if not, you'll get left behind. So those are one of the. I know they may not mean that much to you, but over time they've been in my head, and they more situational things I've been faced with in business or in life, the more meaning they have to me. So those are off the top of my head. I'm sure there'll be more, but those are probably the most important pieces of advice I've been given.
I love it. I love both of those. They both resonate with me, and I'm sure they resonate with a lot of people out there. I think that being entrepreneurial, having that entrepreneurial mindset is about not seeing problems. And I've seen this quote multiple places, but it's like, you don't see problems, you see opportunities, because there's always a way, like you said, under, over, around, whatever it is. Like, it's about whether you're going to be at the effect of things or you're going to be at cause. So when you're at cause, you're like, okay, well, we've got this shit situation called COVID, but we're going to create a new business model or a new stream, and we're just going to fucking go for it. And that's what you have to do. And not everything works, but like waiting around and thinking about it and waiting for the perfect moment, I think in business, you just can't do that anymore. You don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
Like everything's moving so fast, and you just got to go for it. I think that's something that I see with a lot of millennials. They may not know exactly what they're doing, but they're just really willing to go all out and have a crack, which I love.
Yeah, I think that the most important thing is taking risks, but taking calculated risks too.
Yeah.
Of course, high risk, high reward, there's always that, but you want to take a high calculated risk that's going to give you a high reward. But, obviously you can't guarantee with any risk, but I think the more you calculate it, the higher chance you have of being successful, which is, see a lot of people my age that they're not in my exact situation, but they've been in different stages of their life where they've had to take a risk, or they've had the choice if they want to take a risk and go on a business venture, and they've just gone straight for it. There's been no second guessing, bit of planning, and they just go for it. I think that it's really important if you want to take that next step in life, because like you said, will not always work, but I think that if you try really hard and you're consistent, eventually things will work.
Love it. Great advice there. So, Anthony, if people want to find out more about Melba Fresh and maybe buy one of your beautiful boxes of fruit, or now you can get bread and pasta and all of the good things. I mean, all I'm doing at the moment is eating. That's pretty much my only joy in life. I love eating anyway. But where can they find you?
So Melba and Me. So you can go www.melbaandme.com. You can head to our Instagram, Melba and Me, or we have a Facebook page. So if you have any questions, you can email us. You can call us at our head office. You can message us on Instagram or Facebook. But the best place to place your orders will be on the website.
Amazing. And I did see on your LinkedIn that you've got some kind of a discount code at the moment. Is that right?
That's correct. So we want to, like we spoke about earlier, I was saying how bad it's getting with the numbers. We are trying to get people to stay indoors. And we've given a discount code to absolutely everyone. We've plastered it everywhere just to try and get people to not go out and stop that community transmission. Like if that 10% makes them or gives them an incentive to stay home, then so be it. And that's when we're happy. We've done our job. Then we've done a good job because we're servicing the customers. We're providing them with what they want. We're aiming to be a one-stop shop. So hopefully we can get to the point where people don't need to leave the house. We can really try flatten this curve.
Beautiful. That is awesome. I'm definitely going to check it out and maybe buy a box for myself rather than I normally go to Zarkaris Brothers in Thornbury. I don't know if you've heard of them, but I like to.
You can use that discount code. It's Stay Healthy. Okay. Stay healthy.
Love it.
Okay, so I'll pass it everyone on Instagram, so everyone who's watching, check it out, and hopefully we see you guys soon as customers.
Amazing. We'll share all of your handles in this episode as well. But thank you so much, Anthony. It was awesome to speak to you and hear your story about your amazing family business, and I hope you stay safe.
Thank you. It was great to be on the show. Thanks for having me.